Meghan Markle and Prince Harry may not receive the full £18 million from their contract with Spotify. The streaming platform announced last year that it would host a full-scale launch from the couple throughout 2021, but they have only produced one 35-minute podcast episode. Media lawyer Ian Penman, who specializes in music streaming contracts, speculated that the podcasts are likely to have been less popular than Spotify and the royal couple expected. It would not be an unfair assumption that perhaps their popularity was not as great as maybe they or indeed Spotify initially felt, he said. I think you could draw a conclusion that if Spotify haven't exercised the option on the next episode of the podcast, then maybe they did not have the popularity that either Meghan and Harry expected or indeed Spotify anticipated. He added that Spotify could look into backing out from their contract if they no longer wish to produce more content with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. It's famously the case in music deals, this goes back decades, that when people talk about a large deal, like Robbie Williams signing a deal for £15 million or something, it does not mean he gets £15 million on day one. So the problem you have here, I would imagine, is that when they talk about an £18 million Spotify podcast deal, it probably means that they have signed their first product, in this case a podcast. They then have many options for further products. All those options are in Spotify's favor. Make no mistake, they're not in Meghan and Harry's favor. If all those options are exercised, and we don't know how many podcasts that relates to, it may be that the total money spent by Spotify is £18 million. So, have they lost any money today? Probably, not a penny. However, he did claim that somebody may have got a slapped wrist as a result of the deal. He said, whoever gave them the initial advance and did the contract, it's rather like the A&R man who signed the band that fails. Does that person have egg on their face if they did happen to part with a lot of money as an advance as a recording cost? Someone may get a slapped wrist in Spotify if they parted with a lot of cash and actually nobody bothered to listen to it. Explaining how Spotify is likely to review their content, Mr. Penman said, what would probably happen be Spotify would analyze how many more users signed up, or how many more advertisers paid to be on Spotify as a result of that new podcast coming out, and they'll have their analytics bots crawling all over it. And then they would think, does this justify us getting episode 2 and paying in advance for that? I wouldn't imagine in a month of Sundays that they'd parted with £18 million to Harry and Meghan. In a statement announcing the podcast partnership in December last year, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex said, what we love about podcasting is that it reminds all of us to take a moment and to really listen, to connect to one another without distraction. Angela Levin, who has written a biography about the prince, said, Harry and Meghan want to do too many things at the same time. After realizing that the deal so far had cost them £500,000 a minute, Spotify has reportedly been left mystified as to why the couple have not produced any content. Earlier this year, Horatio Gutierrez, Spotify's head of global affairs and chief legal officer, explained that the value of a deal is based on how many listeners they predict a podcast will get and what advertising it's likely to secure. He didn't confirm the £18 million figure reported by The Telegraph, but said they're not doing it for free. He said that they hoped Meghan and Harry's podcast would attract more people to the service, which would therefore lead to more listens for other shows.